Peace, 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 and welcome back to Rational Lens Podcast, or Rational Lens Perspective, where logic and truth comes into focus. And so we was talking about the cosmic box that contains the omniverse, the multiverse, and the universe and everything that's in it. And we was talking about the finality of the cosmic box, aka the matrix. And we went through different levels of the finality. Remember, the finality of the box or the container, or what we call the matrix, is the laws that govern everything that's inside of the box. The things that we do see and the things that we don't see. The things that we don't see is the negative polarity. The things that we do see is the positive polarity. So the things that we don't see is 0, and the things that we do see is 1. Then you have the positive and negative, the yin and the yang, the binary math code that governs the matrix that we live in, which is a mathematical system that keeps on repeating the same thing over and over again. In the natural phenomenon and the physical phenomenon, those things that's governed inside of that box is submitted to those laws, those axioms. You understand? And we was talking about how do you get out of the matrix, or how do you think outside the matrix, and you have to use your full capacity of your mind at a certain infinite speed. And that infinite speed of using your mind is in mind speed. The speed of the mind, because the mind moves faster than light. You understand? Matter of fact, I want to give y'all this. Some people might know it, but it says the speed of light in a vacuum is a constant, exactly 299,792,458 meters per second. This is approximately 186,282 miles per second, right? 670,000 miles per hour. This is the fastest speed at which energy, matter, or information can travel. And it's slowed down when passing through a medium like water or glass. So the real reason why things are slow and we're in this physical thing is because the medium that light travels through is what slows light down. Glass, water, particles. These things are what slow light down as it's moving through the vacuum. The vacuum that light used to move through is what we call ether, which would be the mind, because it's the mind that creates light. And the mind is made up of ether, and ether is made up of those things that we call etherons, right? So light moves in a vacuum of what we call a luminous ether. And ether is a conscious burning gas. And there's many levels of ether, 1 to 9. 9 being the highest level, and 9 being the level that the universe came into existence in. And you have the universe that's inside of a box. The multiverse is inside of a box. And the omniverse is inside of a box. And we have to learn how to think outside that box, because if not, we're going to keep on looping back into the physical realm over and over again until we learn how to use the full capacity of our mind. Because we are mind. And once we learn how to use our mind, which we are at that certain mind speed or etheric speed, or what they call omniverse ether speed, then we can escape the box, the different boxes. So it says the key points about the speed of light, the universal constant. The speed of light in a vacuum is a fundamental constant in physics and is the same for all observers, regardless of their motion. Number 2, cosmic speed limit. Nothing with mass can travel faster than the speed of light. You hear that? Nothing with mass can travel at the speed of light. That's what they're telling us. But our mind can. So don't get caught on this physical body, because if you get caught on this physical body, you're never going to escape the matrix. You got to be in tune with the capacity of your mind, which you are. Your true self is mind. Right? Number 3, the slower in other medias. When light travels through a medium like water or glass, its speed decreases. Right? Number 4, used to measure distance. The speed of light is so fast that it is used to measure astronomical distances. For example, the light from the sun takes about 8 minutes to reach Earth. You hear that? So that's some of the facts of light. Give me 1 minute. It says the speed of light is vastly faster than, they said, the speed of thought. The faster neutral signals in the human body travel at about 120 meters per second, which is 246 miles per hour, while light travels at approximately 299,792,458 meters per second in a vacuum. Thought is a product of physical processing in the brain, and its speed is limited by the transmission of the electrochemical signals between neurons, which is far slower than the speed of light. This is not fact. Mind moves faster than light because light uses the mind as a conduit. The mind is everywhere. The mind is everywhere that light haven't reached yet. That's why it's dark. So when we talk about darkness or triple darkness, we're talking about pure mind. So anywhere where there's darkness, that's where the light ain't reached yet. So how is light faster than the mind when the pure mind is space, and space is everywhere? And anywhere that there is space or darkness, they say that ain't where light reached yet. So this is how they telling us a lie. The mind does move faster than light. And all this neuronal, the electrochemical signals that go on in your neurons, which are electromagnetic, and it says the signals have to go through your neurons to make a thought. But that thought is already in process. It's been in process. It just haven't manifested itself. You understand? All thought that we see are the thoughts that are brought into existence by light. So of course, light moves at a certain speed and brings things into existence. But non-existence existed before the light. Matter of fact, the light came from out of non-existent. So how do light move faster than the mind when the mind is ether, and pure ether is nothingness, is non-existent, is darkness? So this is how they tell us the wrong information. And we have to use our logic and reasoning to make sense of it. So mind moves faster than light. The mind is everywhere, and it's darkness, it's melanin. And where there's darkness, they say that ain't where light reached yet. You can't see it. So how do light moves faster than the mind when the mind is pure melanin? Melanin is what they call black light. Moves faster than the speed of light, that white light that you can see, which is governed by the electromagnetic spectrum, which is made up of what we call photons, and it can be a particle, which is the photon aspect of it, and it can be a wave. All this stuff is being done in the dark. It's coming out of the dark. That's why they say in the Bible, the light was in the dark and the dark comprehended not. It tells you that in the Bible that the light was inside the dark. That darkness was pure mind, black light, which they call melanin, that moves faster than light. Matter of fact, light wouldn't exist if the darkness didn't exist. Right? So let's go back to dealing with the matrix, the cosmic matrix, the box, and the finality. The finality functions is the matrix. It is the container. It is the box that the omniverse is locked in. The multiverse is locked in, and the universe and everything in it is locked in. All these things is locked in boxes, and the only way you can get out these boxes unless you can use your brain or your mind to the full capacity faster than light, which they never taught us, which is the reason why we never is going to escape the matrix, and the reason why we're going to keep on looping in a circle back here in the physical realm, being so entrapped in this physical realm. I'm giving y'all a jewel. You have to learn how to use the full capacity of your mind. We all have to. Ain't nobody on this planet learned how to use the full capacity of their mind. If they did, they wouldn't be here. They would be able to leave this matrix at will and come back at will. This is something that we lost. They took away from us. So let's finish reading. And we're reading about the Pacific finality indexes. It says 3/4 finality. The finality concerns describability and indescribability. 3/4 of the finality function concerns describability and indescribability. The things you can see, the things you can't see. This does not cover objects whose information is unreadable in any way or totally readable. This simply involves objects which can not be 100% constructive through a finite number of properties and characteristics. You understand? Readable and unreadable. So the information that we can't read is unreadable, and the information that we can is readable. It says 3/4 of the finality function concerns describability and indescribability. This does not cover objects whose information is unreadable in any way or totally readable. This simply involves objects which cannot be 100% constructed through a finite number of properties and characteristics. Of course, if one were to somehow clone all of the information which makes up an object located in the flower, one would see an exact replica of, say, objects appearing in front of them. However, this is physically impossible in any above the clock, thanks to how finality opposes itself. So in other words, the things that we can't see, those properties that we can't see, those are the things that are in the enigma, in the darkness. You understand? And moving to a certain speed of light brings forth that information. You understand? Which is time. Time is another aspect of the matrix. So when we're stuck in time, moving according to the vibration and frequency of time that the matrix dictate for us, that makes it hard for us to get information. Information that we probably can use to fully unravel the matrix that we don't fully see, which is 95% of dark matter, which they call dark matter. We can't see it, right? So the allegory of them using the flower is the allegory of the clock. You understand? And time is another aspect of the matrix. It slows us down. The 5th finality function and above is as right now sadly inaccessible using human language, whether natural or constructed. However, it is theoretically possible that if someone combined complex higher order logic and a human language through some weird and impractical difficult method the fifth finality function and above could be talked about and even imagined. This has not happened yet, and it is unlikely for ever happening, but is, however, possible. So getting information to decipher this matrix, but you have to understand 95% of it is dark matter. We don't even know what it is. And we don't even have the ability to give it a label or describe what it is. So to get the full understanding of the matrix that we're in, it's like kind of hard. But we need that part of the information that we can't decipher so we can put it to the other part of the puzzle so we can understand what we're living in. And then if we understand what we're living in, then we can escape out of it. But because we live in the physical realm is fragmented, and those fragmented parts is just different parts of the whole, but we haven't found the possibility of putting it all together because there's certain parts of what we can call that we can't see. You understand? To get the full picture of what we're in. So this is the reason why we're staying stuck in the matrix. We haven't fully deciphered this fragmented puzzle. Especially the parts that we can't see, which is dark matter. Once we can decipher that, then we can say what we're living in. We can see what we're living in. But until then, we're only getting half of the story. And half of the story is not enough information to help us escape the matrix. It says subfinality index. The subfinality index works the same way as the finality index. However, it is much weaker and allows more wiggle room. A container which is of n subfinality function contains all objects which possess n properties. Unlike finality, however, they don't have to be in any specific order. If a container X contains all objects with properties A and property B, but B is a special case of A, then B is ignored when counting. Objects which are strictly n final are also n subfinal. You understand that? So the things that we see, the things that we can't see, all of this is part of deciphering the matrix that we're living in. It's cool the things that we can see because we can give it a label, we can get information, what it is, and all that other stuff. But the thing that we can't see, which is mostly dark matter, is making it hard for us to decipher the matrix fully. And this is the reason why we can't understand what we're in. We can't understand the trap that we're in. Because if we could, then we can put the whole puzzle together and then we can get the information that we need to get out of it. But because this realm is fragmented and we're only getting half of the story, it's making it harder for us to escape, to take the information and apply it to our mind so that we can use it. And then we can use our mind at mind speed, which is faster than the speed of light, to escape out the box. You understand? So you have subfinality indexes. And the subfinality indexes work the same way as the finality index. However, it is much more weaker and allow more wiggle room. You understand? That subfinality index is those other dimensions that we don't see with space and time, right? There's 12 dimensions and time. You understand? You have those subfinality indexes, those subspaces that gives us more room to wiggle in every time we go up in a dimension. You understand? Every time we move up in a dimension, there's more wiggle room. Those are the subfinality function or the subfinality index. You understand? And the more room we have to wiggle, the more dimensions. You understand? What is a dimension? A dimension can refer to measurement of an object, size, like length, width, and height, or the number of independent directions needed to put a specific point in a space. You understand? So more wiggle room. Those sub-finality indexes give us more wiggle room in space. So one dimension, you only can move one way. Two dimension, you only can move back and forth and up, back and forth. It's giving you, the more you can move, the more wiggle room. What I'm trying to say is those are your sub-finality indexes. And the more room that you get to wiggle, the more dimensions you go up in. So you have 12 dimensions. That's a whole lot of wiggle room. You understand? We're on the third dimension, which is length, width, and height. We have to start moving up in the fourth dimension, fifth dimension, the sixth dimension. But we have to learn how to fold space. You understand? But if we don't understand how to do that through the laws of physics, then that's another way how we stay stuck in this third dimension and staying stuck in the matrix of this third dimension, which is in a box. You understand? In physics, the everyday world is three-dimensional, length, width, and height, plus one dimension of time. The term can also describe the scope or extent of something, such as problems of enormous dimension. In measurement and geometry, the definition, the measurement of an object size in a particular direction, such as length, width, and height. Example, number one, a piece of paper is two-dimensional, length and width. Number two, a cube is three-dimensional, length, width, height. Number three, a point is zero-dimensional because it has no extent. So when we talk about zero dimension, it has no extent. That point zero, which is nothing, which is space, which is melanin, which is black light, which is ether, pure ether, which is mind. So when we talk about 0 point, everything has to start in 0 point, nothingness, which is melanin. Melanin is black light, which is pure ether, which is faster than light, is what light comes from out of. It says in physics and mathematics, the definition in a more abstract sense, dimensions represent the number of independent coordinates needed to specify a point in space. You hear that? A point in space. Space is ether, pure ether. Space is black light, which is dealing with the mind, because the mind is made up of etherons. I told y'all that. And etherons are in the fabric of space. We're going to talk about what etherons are, right? So that 0 point is space, which is pure mind, pure ether, melanin, black light. Example, one dimension, a line is one-dimensional because a single coordinate is needed to locate a point on it. Number two, two-dimensional, a plane is two-dimensional because two coordinates are needed to locate a point. Number three, four-dimensional, space-time is often described as four-dimensional, combining the three-dimensional of space with one time. When we talk about space-time, this is when space and time converge as one. This is on a sub-quantum level, or where sub-quantum particles interact on, which is the spiritual realm, right? Number four, higher dimensionals. Theoretical physics explore the possibility of additional higher dimensions beyond the four we experience. So there's other dimensions wrapped up in the fabric of space that we can't even see. Right? So you have 4 dimensions that we can see. The other 6 dimensions is wrapped up in the fabric of space that we can't see on a quantum level, which is space-time, where things move according to the speed of light. Right? So you have 12 dimensions, really, in actuality. 11 space dimensional, curled up in the fabric of space, that we can see, that we can see, that we can see and can't see. And then you have time, which is another dimension, which in actuality is space. Because all things that's moving in time is moving in space. So when we talk about space-time, is when you get to a certain dimension where space and time emerge together and you can't differentiate. Because that's how fast you're moving according to the speed of light. So when you're moving to the speed of mind, it's some whole other thing. You're on a whole higher dimensional level. So this is when you get into the hyper vacuum. Right? And this all has to do with geometry too. You understand? The curvature in space. You understand? Because matter is what curves space. And so that curve dealing with geometry. You understand? And you got all different type of geometrical shapes. All type of, when we talk about sacred geometry. You understand? These shapes have their allegorical relating with them. So that's what a dimension is. You understand? So I want to explain to y'all what is etherons, right? And ether. I hope I can get to this. All right. So, all right. Let's go back. So what are etherons? Remember, I told you ether deals with the mind. Let me plug my phone up. Give me 1 minute. All right. Right? So let's deal with this. The AI overview says etherons are a hypothetical concept from some physics and cosmology theory. It's not hypothetical and it's not a theory. The mind is real. Right? Primarily associated with the work of Lone Lovitz Popopsicus. I don't know how to pronounce that name. I know I butchered it. It says they are proposed as the smallest particle of a space-filling substance called ether, which is believed to be the fundamental medium for all phenomenon and interaction in the universe. The concept is distinct from the classical luminiferous ether and had been explored in various theoretical models, though it is not part of mainstream physics. Yeah, they don't want to make it part of mainstream physics, because once we start learning how to use this, they can't control us. They can't keep us trapped in a box anymore. They can't keep us trapped in the matrix anymore. Because then we'll start learning how to use our mind, connecting with the ether, stimulating those etherons that make up what ether is. And then we'll start using the full capacity of our mind. You understand? It's the reason they want to tell us. It says, number one, theoretical origins. The term was coined by physicist Lone Lovitz. in 1982 who predicted their existence and characteristics, such as an extreme small size and a very large number. Right? Number 2, fundamental particles. In this theory, etherons are considered the most basic particles, meditating gravitational interaction and being a fundamental component of the atomic ether that permeates space. So it permeates space, and this is how gravity is created. The interaction of gravity. You understand? So when they talk about gravity, what's influencing gravity is etherons. And those etherons is creating ether. So mind is influenced gravity, and gravity is what keep things together and hold things down. So gravity is really ether. Right? And they just proved to us, or they just said to us, that it's these etherons, the atomic ether, that permeates space. So space is not empty. It's filled with etherons. Those etherons are in the fabric of space, and they move at a rotational angle of 90 degrees, which creates electromagnetic energy. And electromagnetic energy deals with light. And light is how things come into existence. Right? Number 4, status in physics. While the concept is a subject of ongoing theoretical work, it is not accepted by the majority of the scientific community, which has largely moved beyond classical ether theory. The reason why? Because it connects with the mind. And once we connect with the mind fully and tap into that ether, tap into those Akasha records, they can't stop us. And the knowledge that we'll get will be powerful, surpass universes. Right? Number 5, other contexts. Etherons also appear in different contexts, such as the name of the boss in the video game Deep Woven. Right? So I'm reading this article from Medium, right? Go to medium.com, and it has this article called The Etherons, Geometry at the Heart of Reality. It says, in the new physics, ether, the core component, is not a particle nor a vibration, but a geometrical phenomenon, a sacred intersection at the boundaries of reality's layer planes. Right? Because you got dimensions and you got planes. Planes are different schemes and moves of vibration, frequency, tones, and sounds of energy. And I explained to y'all what a dimension is, right? It says geometry as foundation. At the root of this model lies the Vesica Pisces. When we talk about the Vesica Pisces, we're talking about the two circles that interact. We're dealing with geometry now. When two circles interact with each other, right? They call that the Vesica Pisces. It's the symbol of Pisces, or the yin-yang, when the two fish are chasing each other's tail. Positive and negative, yin and yang, man and woman. And the zodiac sign is Pisces, right? This is geometry, two circles that interact, right? The lens-like shape creates when two spheres intersect, such that the center of each lies on the surface of the other. When they two interact, right? They lie on the surface of each other. But in the framework, it's not just two. Here, we have 3 intersecting realms. Number 1, the higher plane, which is the spiritual formative. Number 2, the lower plane, which is the material reactive. And the plane of harmony, which connects and balances the two. The sheer volume created by this triadic intersection is called etherons. So you have the higher plane, which is the spiritual plane, the lower plane, which is the material plane. One plane is formative, one plane is reactive, and then you have the plane that connects these two circles together, which is the plane of harmony, which is the etheron plane. So the plane that holds the spiritual realm and the physical realm together is the etheron plane, or the ether plane. And that ether plane is made up of what we call etherons. And pure ether is space. So that's why in between the spiritual realm and the physical realm, in between there is space. And there's etherons in that space, because those etherons is what makes up the fabric of space, which produces the spiritual realm and the physical realm, and what keeps them connected. Right? So there's a trinity here. You have the higher plane, which is the spiritual plane, the lower plane, which is the material plane, and the plane of harmony, which connects and balances the two, the yin and yang. Right? The balance of the yin and yang. What is the etheron? The etheron is the fundamental mechanism of the ether, the structured medium that underlies all phenomenon. So that's the etherons is the elemental mechanism that underlines the mechanism of the ether, which structured medium that underlines all phenomenon. It is not static. It rotates. It reorients. It reorients. It rotates, it reorients, and in doing so, it generates motion. So it rotates, it reorientates, right? And it generates motion. The ability to perform a 90-degree rotational shift is not symbolic. It is literal geometry in action. And from this motion arises the dynamic triad of all physical reality. Light, number one, light, the harmonic movement of ether. Number two, electricity, the directional polarization of that movement. And three, magnetism, the reversible curvature of electrical flow. So you have light, the harmonic movement of ether, electricity, which is the directional polarization of that movement, and magnetism, the reversible curvature of electrical flow. Right? It says a living architecture. In the vision, space is not a vacuum. It is a woven architecture. Etherons is not a thing, but a function. You hear that? It's not a thing, it's a function. A mode of spatial transformation. Its geometry encodes rhythm, polarity, and resonance. Like cells in biology, etherons interact, resonate, and form great structures. Their harmony defines the law we call physics. So these etherons, if they're stuck in a box, then that box can dictate the way these etherons move. So we have to understand that. That's why we got to use the full capacity of our mind to stimulate these etherons so we can arise or transcend above the matrix. It says their harmony defines the laws we call physics. Their breakdown gives rise to the disorder and entropy. Right? From the concept to cosmos. Reframing ether as a structured living field changes everything. Number one, it bridges the divided between energy and form. Number two, it unites light, charge, and field in one system. Number three, it provides a foundation for clean energy, gravitational understanding, and even consciousness study. The conclusion, rediscovering structure. We have looked for answers in every small particle, but perhaps the answer we never in the particle, perhaps the answer we never in the particle, but in the pattern. Etherons remind us, geometry is not the result of physics. It may be the cause. You hear that? The geometry, because everything is geometry, and geometry is math. So the geometry traits that we see in this physical realm is because of the ether. Exploring the full etheric model, right? Ether, well, that's the end of it. So this is what etherons and ether is, and this this article explained what etherons are. You understand? So I hope y'all like the build, and I hope I explained to y'all what an omniverse is, what the multiverse is, and what the universe is. Matter of fact, before I leave, I'm going to explain those two things to y'all, because we already understand how these levels of existence are in a box, or these verses are in a box, right? But let's understand what they are. It says an omniverse can refer to an omni-platform, a collaborative three-dimensional design and stimulation tool, or the philosophical and scientific concept of the entire universe of all universes. The omniverse is used for tasks like creating digital twins and is built on Pixar Universal Scene Description framework, while the other mean encompassing the collection of all possible multiverses. Right? It's like a computer simulation. What is it? A real-time three-dimensional simulation and collaboration platform for 3D production pipelines. It allows various users, such as designers, engineers, to work together on the same project in a virtual environment. Right? The key features: collaborations enable real-time collaborators with change made in one application are visible in others. Number 2, digital twins used to create virtual replicas of a physical object and systems such as factories to stimulate and optimize performance. Number 3, USD framework built on Pixar Universal Scene Descriptions to ensure interoperability between different three-dimensional tools and software. So when we talk about the omniverse, on the omniverse, it's digital. It's a digital level that they can get to by using the omniverse. This is why everything is digital, dealing with the computers and virtual reality and AI and all this stuff. This is stuff that they pulling from a high dimension of the omniverses, because it's only on the omniverse that you can deal on this digital computer robotic level, what we're known as AI. You understand? Number 5, the physical AI can be used to create physical, accurate virtual worlds for training and testing AI systems for robotics and autonomous vehicles. So now you understand where your AI is coming from. It's coming from the omniverse. They're tapping into the omniverse, and they're able to digitalize, you understand, with computers and robots and AI and things of that nature. They're taking us to a whole nother realm. They're taking us from this universe to the omniverse. This is what this AI system is going to do. Right? The omniverse concept. What is it? The totality of all possible universes. Number 2, in relation to the multiverse, while a multiverse is a collection of multiple universes, the omniverse considered to be the collection of all such multiverse. Number 3, other contexts. The term has appeared in science fiction and other medias such as the Ben 10 Omniverse animated series and video games. This is where they pull in the video games, virtual reality, AI is all coming from the Omniverse. Because when you're dealing with the Omniverse, you're dealing with infinite possibilities of what can happen. You understand? And this is where they're taking us. All right? They're taking our minds there. So you have the Omniverse. In the Omniverse, you have the multiverse. Right? So let's see what the multiverse is. It says the multiverse is theoretically a concept of a collection of many universes, where our universe is just one amongst them. These other universes could have different historical events, alternative versions of ourselves, or even different physical law. The idea stems from various scientific theory, including quantum mechanics and cosmology. So when they're using quantum mechanics and cosmology and they're using these supercomputers, what they're doing is they're using enough energy with these supercomputers where they can tap into the ether. And remember, ether is space. Pure space is ether, which is pure mind. So when they're tapping into space, they're tapping into the pure mind. And in that pure mind, infinite possibilities of whatever can happen. This is why they're opening up the black holes with the Stern Project. You understand? And they're opening up black holes and they're allowing certain demonic entities to come into this realm. They're coming from the spiritual realm. So when you're dealing with the multiverse and you're dealing with the omniverse, you're tapping into the ether. And you're tapping into the source of the ether where multiple things can happen. You understand? Say these are universes could have different, I already read that, right? So with these supercomputers, they're able to go into the future because they're able to tap into the ether. And in the ether, past, present, and future is all going on at the same time. And the infinite interpretations of what can happen. And they're pulling from out of these infinite parallel universes. It's another aspect of time traveling and teleportation with these supercomputers and them being able to stimulate the ether, which is the mind. And I told you that that ether is made up of etherons, and we just explained what etherons is. They're the sub-reality of all natural phenomenon. So they're able to stimulate that realm. Right? So that's what a multiverse is. And we all know what the universe is, right? But I'm going to read it anyway. Just for those that don't know. The universe is all of space and time, containing all of the existence, including all matter and energy. So when we talk about etherons and we talk about ether, and etherons are the physical particles of ether, and ether is what creates your thoughts. And when we're talking about that absolute supreme power, which is the all mind or the source of all mind, where all mind come from, that's what they're tapping in with these supercomputers. You understand? And they're able to stimulate matter and energy. Not just that, they're able to open up wormholes to other parallel universes. And they're able to get information from these parallel universes. Right? So the universe is all space and all time, containing all of the existence, including all matter and energy. It began with a bang approximately 13.8 billion years ago and had been expanding ever since. The universe is composed of about 5% ordinary matter, 20% dark matter. See, we was talking about dark matter, right? And that dark matter is most of the universe, which they don't know what it is. It's just black ether, melanin, black light. But we can't decipher what it is. But it's influencing the 5% of our little world that we live in. This is the part of the matrix that we can't decipher. Once we learn how to decipher that part of the matrix, then we can get more information of the matrix and what we're living in, and then we can come out with a plan to get out of this box, this matrix, this container that they got us trapped in, which keeps on putting us in a time loop. You understand? So 5% of ordinary matter, 27% of dark matter, and 68% of dark energy. All right? This is what the universe is. So we have the universe. The universes make up the multiverse. The multiverses is what makes up the omniverse. And all of these verses, remember, verses is something that you write to a song or to a story. And the divine mind is the one that's writing these verses and these stories according to its will of energy. According to its energy. And its vibration, frequency, tone, and sound, and schemes and moods of energy. That's why the divine mind is called the author, because the author is the one that writes the book. And I just explained to y'all, the Akasha Records is the book, or the library of infinite books throughout the universe, throughout the multiverse, throughout the omniverse. And our book that we write, our book of life that we write according to our mind and using the free will of our mind, which is our reality, our experience, and our reality, which is the book, that book gets put into the library of the Akasha Records or the Akasha Library. So everybody writes a book that's put in the Akasha Library. And that word Akasha means mind. You understand? So everybody has to write their book their way, according to how they write their book on their experiences. Nobody can write your book for you. You have to write your own book. But like I said, you writing your own book, you have to read, meaning you have to reflect on your book that you're writing and learn from your experiences so that you can grow spiritually. If you don't, then you're not reading your own book that you're writing, which is your book of life, which is based on your experiences, which brought forth your realities. You understand? So you have to write your own book. Read your own book. You can learn from yourself. But a lot of people ain't self-conscious of their self and their actions. That's why they keep on going through the same thing over and over. They're looking at everybody else's book and reading everybody else's book. And they ain't even learning from watching other people's books. That other people are writing their books. You understand? This is what it's about. We write our own book. Read your own book, which means reflect on your conscious self of the things that you're doing, the mistakes that you're making. And when you learn from your mistakes, then you can grow spiritually. But until then, you're not going to grow because you're not reading the book that you wrote. And it's already mapped out. Because remember, the divine mind, which is God, the source, thought you into existence. So when it thought you into existence, it already created a plan, a blueprint for you. So your book been written. You just got to catch up with the book that's been written about you. That's based on you and your life and your experiences and your realities. And then you can learn from it. But believe me, that book is going to go, when you pass away, your book is put into the library of the Akasha Records for other people to read. So I hope y'all like the bill. I hope y'all understand what I was talking about. And till next time, I hope everybody have a good day. And please support the channel. Go to my YouTube page, The Rational Lens Podcast, and like, subscribe. I got a whole bunch of stuff on there. You understand? And if y'all been rocking with me with Facebook, y'all probably already got what I got up there. But those that don't, tell somebody, let them like, subscribe, so I can get my channel together. And until the next time we meet, peace.